Minority Report. My name is Walter.
And I'm Dozie.
And I'm Izu again.
So there's a new segment we want to introduce in the Minority Report that is going to be essentially talking about love, sex, relationships, and everything in between. Is what we call TMR
After Dark.
Yeah, and for this particular episode, we want to talk about when the right time to say I love you is.
In a relationship.
No, not really. Just when the right time to say I love you to someone.
Do people say I love you to random strangers?
Yes.
Excuse you.
Especially some of them even during sex.
Well,
so essentially,
I mean, during sex, I don't know that you can take anything anybody says during sex very seriously.
Oh, but then there are some of them that expect to be taken seriously.
So what are you talking about? Contracts are drawn, deals are made and broken during sex. Signatures are given to long-standing agreements during sex.
It's some people's kryptonite, and if you find out that this person's kryptonite is sex, you can get anything you want to get during sex.
So especially especially with the community, pertaining to a community that is like that, loving and dating and relationships are such a precious, timely, urgent thing. Is there a good time to say I love you?
I don't really think people take it precious.
No, that's not
community.
That's what I mean. Is it's urgent. It's precious. It's not precious in that it's special. It's just.
I get what you're saying, Sha. I'm just.
But yeah. Yes. I think that has been established in the first few seconds. But my answer to that question is no. I don't think there's a right time to say I love you.
Well, I think there should be a right time to say I love you. Because for me, I don't think I want to be told I love you on the first date. You know, I don't think I want to be told I love you online. I don't think I want you to tell me I love you when we're having sex for the first time or second time. Because I cannot detach myself from feeling like you don't know what you're saying. You know, I cannot extricate myself from the idea that you just are saying that because you probably want to get something, you know, and in that moment you're under pressure to project some kind of sentiments to me, you know, and I don't know all of that.
And I think really that's for me the salient thing, projecting something on the other person. Like, I'm perfectly fine with anybody expressing how they feel whenever, so long as you don't have this sort of like attendant expectation that the person should reciprocate or feel the same. So if you are okay with expressing your feelings or your love for somebody, you know, in that way, you should also be okay with the person not reciprocating those feelings or not saying that in return. But where there tends to be a problem is that people say I love you and then they expect the other person says it. It's not a race. So if you are going to, I mean, I think in general, even if you've dated a person for a gazillion years or 2 seconds, like if you are, everybody should be responsible for their own feelings, right? So you can only express what you feel. If you feel that need, you know, if it's a deal breaker for you, if it's a necessity, a sort of condition antecedent for you, that the person then has to express those same or similar sentiments towards you, then maybe not say anything until you are sure exactly where you stand.
True.
But if you are going to, you know, go off on a tangent or go out on a limb to express your feelings and say, oh, I love you, so whatever such thing to somebody else, you can't have the expectation, you know, except you have reason to believe, and that reason is the reason, you know, do you have enough reason to believe that this person is in the same place, and that is the reason why you are then saying this. Other than that, you really cannot have any sort of expectations when you express yourself in that way.
So, but essentially, you know, in line with what you said, but love is, relationships are usually like a contract, you get, and okay, based on what you're saying, you know, a person having a full cognizance of where they have gone to, especially in a relationship, how far they've gone, and if it's appropriate to now say it, like, and the person says it, is the person then in the wrong for expecting that sort of feedback? I mean, you've probably dated someone for like a year, and you've been together long enough for you to.
Talking about like.
Okay, when there's a time.
Not even a year, maybe 6 months, but enough time for you to
expect the person.
expectation.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is contextual. So if you are in a relationship with a person and you are not just, humping uglies, and it's not a case of being like, sex buddies. This is an actual relationship, and you know it's an actual relationship. Of course, it's natural to expect
now, in the
that
context of relationships, that's where we are now.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, it's natural to expect that is probably going somewhere. But if you are, I mean,
and then you say I love you,
and then you say.
I'm just trying to
the expectation that people will love you. No, I don't think. Generally, with these things, you really cannot have any expectations, because I mean, it's not a competition, it's not a race. People get to where they get to when they get to, whatever that place is. And generally, we have different definitions of. People tend to have, slightly different definitions of what being in love means to them.
Right.
So, for one person, it might be all of these feelings and wanting to talk to you every single minute of the day, all of those butterflies in the belly kind of thing. And for some other people, it's like, it's something else. It could be something more practical in terms of like, what I know I'm in love with you when I want to make certain sort of plans with you, and if I'm not there, then it's like, okay, maybe not. So generally, but my thing is, I think everybody should just be responsible for their own feelings and also responsible for what they express. So if you say I love you to the other person, it has to be because you're ready to let them know that you feel it. You're ready to let them know that. If they don't express it back to you, then it means they are not there.
No, but in a relationship though, let's assume that we've been in a relationship for about 6 months, and I say I love you, and you don't say it. It's enough for us to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation about it.
Yes. It's enough for me, because of course I agree.
I want to know
if you want this relationship to go somewhere that is dependent on a certain awareness of affection, then of course you should have that conversation.
Yes, and if you don't feel like you're in that space mentally to tell me I love you too, I could reevaluate our relationship.
Of course, absolutely, yeah.
But like let's say, because I'm not gonna lie, a lot of Nigerian gay people, they do this thing where if you call someone every single day, you send text messages, you chat on WhatsApp, they already assume in their head,
we weren't married.
We're already in the relationship. I want everything clearly spelled out.
Yes,
if I'm with you, you must have asked me out and I must have said yes. Exactly. Or I would have asked you out and you have said yes. So don't assume we're in a relationship and then when you tell me I love you, you expect me to say it back, because if until that has happened, I don't know that we're in a relationship. So I'm not your feelings in that moment don't really matter to me. I'm not saying that they are not valid. I'm saying it's not a priority at that moment, because I don't feel invested enough.
It's the wickedness for me.
I don't feel invested enough to and I cannot be dishonest with you. So for me it's all about honesty. If I'm going to say I love you, I want to be honest, and maybe that's why I have a slight issue with that the statement I love you. And so now I'm more interested in I'm in love with you as against I love you, because people just dish out I love you anyhow. So I want to know which kind of
there's even the other expression, love you.
Exactly. I love you or I heart check you. So
no.
That's not about love. It's really it's always baffling to me, because I have a very sort of like a naive outlook on love. I mean, I've gotten cynical over the years, but originally I've always had like this naive outlook on love, which makes it very baffling to me how very quickly two people who have been in love can suddenly not be in love anymore. And it's just like, but how did it get to this point where we were so passionately into each other and now we're just so passionately
out of love,
each other, and
people change their minds. I changed my mind, like Mary said.
Well, I think there's also part of the hastiness in wanting to, I think our community is so devoid of love, even fundamentally. Maybe whilst we're growing up, we're looking for love everywhere. As much as what we're talking about now is love in the context of relationships and two people liking each other, we also have to put into cognizance the fact that love for a lot of us as kids started from wanting platonic love from our parents, or agape love from even God. Those of us that are religiously inclined, but we didn't get that. Many of us didn't get that. We felt like we were alone. It was like it was hectic.
And do you imagine that has a bearing on how quickly people are going to say I love you?
Because they are so eager to get that which they were denied. And so they just jump on every opportunity they see to and then many a time people fail to understand that there are different feelings. There's lust, there's obsession, there's infatuation, there's intoxication with someone, and then you assume it's love. It's not always love. So just you have
but here's the thing, like love is not one of those things that it would be easy to universally define. It's subjective in many ways. And while I hear you on this whole thing, I mean, with a community that faces so much abuse, that's a breeding ground for codependencies.
Exactly.
But in terms of talking about, because the conversation we're having is, when it is an okay time to say I love you, I think that's slightly distinct from saying I love you early on or whatever. Is slightly distinct from that that obsessive need to fill a void, right? Because what you're describing is, as a result of the abuse that a lot of gays,
absence of love.
Yes, that a lot of us face.
Yes.
There's a tendency to slide into these codependent patterns where you are constantly needing somebody to fill a void, and then but that really doesn't bear on when a person says I love you.
But it does have a bearing though. Like when for instance,
I agree it has a bearing, but I mean like the bearing is you can't, like, it's not absolute. Like
no, of course
yes.
There is the consideration for the fact that there is someone who slides into your DM and you've just chatted for a few lines and then he's all about I love you.
People do that.
Yes, people do that.
Wow.
I can't believe who has been in your DM.
And they do that. And then you have to consider that there is a history of this person not being well loved enough to recognize that this is what love looks like.
Exactly.
And so this is what you're feeling now, isn't it? And so you don't have to tell me because it is just a spark of something you're feeling for someone else.
And that's why I cannot reconcile you telling me I love you over some social media platform.
But wait, hold on. About that, I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say that
it has to be in person?
Exactly.
Yes. Those
are your standards.
This is me.
Right,
yes,
okay.
This is for me.
But generally speaking, though, like, because I've heard this often enough, people dismissing the reality of someone falling in love over chats and on communications online. I just feel like that there are people who have this exposition that love is something that can only come from something as concrete as spending time
together.
Let's
not forget that that's a love language. But aside that, I have been in a lot of situations where you probably think what you have with this person online is love, and then you meet, and that spark you had online, which was so good, so absolute, so amazing, you can't replicate it in person. There's just this absence of chemistry, and then you start to so it's made me. I was once that person who believed in I love you. I mean, I had a relationship online one time for 6 months, but it didn't. It wasn't as good. Yes, 6 months online. I don't even classify that person as an ex. I'm not going to lie. If you still ask me how many exes I have, I would say one, and that's the person I had an organic relationship with, somebody I saw. Because I just think like a lot of things are taken for granted with it's online. A lot of things are taken for granted.
Yeah, I personally think it all depends. It's easier to curate your personality online. It's easier to be more mindful of what you say.
Yeah.
You type, you delete,
More performative.
you get to second guess everything you are saying, you know. So it's like it's very that the performance, you know, is very forefront. Is likely to be very forefront when you are
online
conversing with the person and getting the person exclusively online. But that doesn't then mean that when you meet the person, like sometimes when you meet the person,
of course,
right,
the exceptions,
yes,
of course,
so,
the exceptions.
Yeah. So I think
my exceptions
it all depends.
Like as compared
it
to
all really depends.
As compared to the terrible ones, like I'm going to say that it's been pretty infinitesimal, you know. So for me now, I'll tell you that let's not waste so much time talking online. You know, if there's a spark between us, let's try and meet. Let's be intentional about meeting. You know, so that's where I am now, and I am not trying to.
But where did that spark happen though?
The spark online.
The spark happens online.
Yes, it does happen.
So if the spark can happen online, why can't we have an explosion?
Yes, but it's really, it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that because, like you said, maybe that personality the person is projecting online, and then you
only a part of the picture.
Yes, maybe, you know, there are people that are very extroverted online, like they're just everywhere online, and in person they just mope. So you become the conversation starter, the conversation carrier, this conversation.
We are, the point here is really just feel what you feel whenever you feel it.
But be responsible for your feelings.
Be responsible for your feelings because they are yours. You can't use love as a bargaining tool to sort of like make someone else do what you expect.
There's a word for that, blackmail.
And please don't say
I love something. Blackmail speaks to intent.
Don't say I love you when you're inside someone's child.
But
on the first sex.
I love you. Thank you.
I love the case.
Yeah, but please, can we look into that? Like,
that's
you
terrible.
love someone, you say you love the person. What is the absolute worst kind of response that you would not take if the person from the person you tell I love you?
Thank you would have to be it for me.
Okay, would have to be it for me.
I can't do it. Okay.
You're good with thank you.
I don't. Wait, I'm not good with.
I'm not good with anyone. But I'm saying
anything, please.
Like, actually, thank you is on the line. It's on the line as well.
Okay,
I haven't had.
Thank yous. Okay, no.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything but silence or just a smile. I can do with all, but like, thank you. Okay, what?
I don't want all.
I can do with that.
What is all? Whatever.
But I mean, more seriously, though, like,
says doesn't. You know, what is the next best response you would take if the person isn't able to say I love you to you?
Nothing. Just don't say anything. Don't lie to. I mean, if for me personally, if I'm saying that, I'm really not checking for you.
Right.
Like it's my feelings. I feel it, and I'm just letting you know. You don't have to say it back. I don't have any expectations for me,
because I'm all about communication, and I understand that communication is just, it transcends words. You know, I think body language for me matters. So if I say I love you, and your body language is accepting of the love and acknowledging it, but you just don't know how to say it. I think I can live with that.
That's a good one. Anyway, guys, this is brings us to the end of the segment, and essentially the point here is love when you love, say it when you love it, but be responsible for it and do not expect anything from someone else. That is hard, I know, because we are in humanity is about give and take most of the time, but seriously, just let people feel what they feel for you when they feel it.
Please love me, thank you. Please love me, I want to be loved.
This isn't a plug-in. Really disregard anything he says. Any guys out there,
if you're in love with me, please DM me. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say. This ring, I gave it to myself, so.
Okay, guys.
That's our show for today. Don't forget to comment, share our video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications when we post new videos. Until coming next time, I'm Dozie.
And I'm Walter.
And I'm Izu. Bye.